Hello, Fáilte. Welcome to another recording of the Táin Cuchulain. Had myself a little break and we're ready to finish Cuchulain and Ferdiad finally. So we're going to jump right in. If you are new to this, please make sure and go back to the start of this playlist because we are here at episode 20, which is a massive mega episode, The Combat of Ferdiad and Cuchulain. This is part 3 of that. And we are recording the Táin Cuailnge, the English translation of Joseph Dunn from 1914. So links to this is underneath down in the notes. Make sure that you go and have a look and make sure that you, if like I said, if you are new to this, please go back to the start of the playlist. Put a lot of work into this. So I did, because Past Laura is smart. This is where we stopped. So for every battled soldier who fought him in the feat of the ford. Great indeed was the deed that was done on the ford today. The two heroes, the two champions, the two chariot fighters of the west of Europe, the two bright torches of valour of the Gael, the two hands of dispensing favour and of giving rewards in the west of the northern world, the two veterans of skills and the two keys of bravery of the Gael, to be brought together in encounter as from afar, through the sowing of dissension and the incitement of Allil and Maeve. Each of them was busy hurling at the other in those deeds of arms from early morning's gloaming till the middle of noon. When midday came, the rage of the men became wild, and each drew nearer to the other. Thereupon Cuchulain gave one spring once from the bank of the ford till he stood upon the boss of Ferdiad MacDamon's shield, seeking to reach his head and to strike it from above over the rim of the shield. Straightway Ferdiad gave the shield a blow with his left elbow, so that Cuchulain went from him like a bird onto the brink of the ford. Again Cuchulain sprang from the brink of the ford, so that he alighted upon the boss of Ferdiad MacDamon's shield, that he might reach his head and strike it over the rim of the shield from above. Ferdiad gave the shield a thrust with his left knee, so that Cuchulain went from him like an infant onto the bank of the ford. Laeg espied that. Woe then, Cuchulain, cried Laeg, meseems the battle warrior that is against thee hath shaken thee as a fond woman shakes her child. He hath washed thee as a cup is washed in a tub. He hath ground thee as a mill grinds soft malt. He hath pierced thee as a tool bores through an oak. He hath bound thee as the bindweed binds the trees. He hath pounced on thee as a hawk pounces on little birds, so that no more hast thou right or title or claim to valour or skill in arms till the very day of doom and of life, thou little imp of an elf-man, cried Laeg. Little imp of an elf-man. I think I kind of want to write that down and just refer to Cuchulain as the little imp of an elf-man from now on. It's probably better than the ugly Ulster turd that I usually refer to him as. But yeah, so this is a reference back to Laeg. When we were doing part 2, we saw that Laeg once again was being asked by Cuchulain to perform this function basically for him, so that if he sees that he's losing, that he winds him up, basically riles him up. So that's what Laeg is doing here. It's not that he actually hates Cuchulain. Thereat, for the third time, Cuchulain arose with the speed of the wind, the swiftness of a swallow, and the dash of a dragon, and the strength of a lion, into the clouds of the air, till he alighted on the boss of the shield of Ferdiad son of Daman, so as to reach his head, that he might strike it from above over the rim of his shield. Then it was that the battle warrior gave the shield a violent and powerful shake, so that Cuchulain flew from it into the middle of the ford, the same as if he had not sprung at all. It was then that the first twisting fit of Cuchulain took place. This is Cuchulain's Rheastrad, and you see it over there in the Irish as Caith Rheastrad, so that would be his first twisting fit. So that a swelling and inflammation filled him like breath in a bladder. until he made a dreadful, terrible, many-coloured, wonderful bow of himself, so that as big as a giant or a man of the sea was the hugely brave warrior towering directly over Ferdiad. Such was the closeness of the combat they made, that their heads encountered above and their feet below and their hands in the middle over the rims and bosses of the shields. Such was the closeness of the combat they made, that their shields burst and split from their rims to their centres. Such was the closeness of the combat they made, that their spears bent and turned and shivered from their tips to their rivets. Such was the closeness of the combat they made, that the Bachanach and Bananach and the sprites of the glens and the eldritch beings of the air screamed from the rims of their shields and from the guards of their swords and from the tips of their spears. So we've seen that before as well, again at Glynne, Bachanach, Bananach, these are, and the demons of air, these are all associated with Nevin on occasion, definitely, but sometimes called directly by Cuchulain, and sometimes they just show up. So that's interesting, actually, that they're translated as eldritch beings of the air rather than demons of the air here. I think they've been demons before, but yeah, maybe Dunn is going for a different look here. So such was the closeness of the combat they made, that they forced the river out of its bed and out of its course, so that there might have been a reclining place for a king or a queen in the middle of the ford, and not a drop of water was in it but what fell there with the trampling and slipping which the two heroes and the two battle warriors made in the middle of the ford. Such was the closeness of the combat they made, that the steeds of the gale broke loose, affrighted and plunging with madness and fury, so that their chains and their shackles, their traces and tethers snapped, and the women and children and pygmy folk, the weak and the madmen among the men of Erin, broke out through the camp southwestward. At that time they were at the edge feet of swords. It was then Ferdiad caught Cuchulain in an unguarded moment, and he gave him a thrust with his tusk-hilted blade, so that he buried it in his breast, and his blood fell into his belt till the ford became crimsoned with the clotted blood from the battle warrior's body. Cuchulain endured it not under Ferdiad's attack, with his death-bringing heavy blows, and his long strokes, and his mighty middle slashes at him. Then Cuchulain bethought him of his friends from the fairyland, and of his mighty folk who would come to defend him, and of his scholars to protect him, what time he would be hard pressed in the combat. It was then that Dollab and Indollab arrived to help and to succour their friend, namely Cuchulain. Then it was that Ferdiad felt the onset of the three together smiting his shield against him, and he gave all his care and attention thereto, and thence he called to mind that, when they were with Scahach and with Uachach, learning together, Dollab and Indollab used to come to help Cuchulain out of every stress wherein he was. So these friends of the fairy folk are Dollab and Indollab. So these are otherworld entities who are coming to help and protect him, as they have often done before, apparently. So, such as when they were training on Scahach's Island. Ferdiad spake, not alike are our foster brothership and our comradeship of Cuchulain, quoth he. How so then? Asked Cuchulain. Thy friends of the fairy folk have succoured thee, and thou didst not disclose them to me before, said Ferdiad. Not easy for me were that, answered Cuchulain, for if the magic veil be once revealed to one of the sons of Mel, none of the Tuatha Dé Danann will have the power to practice concealment or magic. And why complainest thou there, Ferdiad? Thou here, Ferdiad, said Cuchulain. Thou hast a hornskin whereby to multiply feats and deeds of arms on me, and thou hast not shown me how it was closed or how it was opened. Then it was they displayed all their skill and secret cunning to one another, so that there was not a secret of either of them kept from the other, except the Gáe Bulg, which was Cuchulain's. So that's an interesting little aside there. He's referring to the people of the other world, his friends from the other world, his fairy friends, as the Tuatha Dé Danann. And that definitely refers back to the time that the Tuatha Dé Danann went in. It's also another story that that details all of that. The name completely escapes me right now. If somebody wants to stick it in the comments below, that'd be amazing. Where it's said that the Tuatha Dé Danann can't show and can't show any humans basically their concealment or magic, or they're going to lose it, and they won't have the chance to do it again. So Ferdiad has a horn skin that increases his feats by magic, apparently. So they basically drop all their pretenses and just go full tilt, I think, at that point, except for the Gáe Bulg, which is the spear. Howbeit, when the fairy friends found Cuchulain had been wounded, each of them inflicted 3 great heavy wounds on him, on Ferdiad, to wit. It was then that Ferdiad made a cast to the right, so that he slew Dollab with that goodly cast. He then followed the 2 woundings and the 2 throws that overcame him, till Ferdiad made a second throw towards Cuchulain's left, and with that throw he stretched low and killed in Dollab, dead on the floor of the fort. Hence it is that the storyteller sang the Ran. Why is this called Ferdiad's ford, e'en though 3 men on it fell? Nonetheless, it washed their spoils. It is Dollab's and in Dollab's ford. So this is an older Dinhenicus poem, it looks like, that has been was originally part of the story or has been worked into it to explain or to qualify that this might not be Ferdiad's ford, that it should be named for Dollab and in Dollab, the 2 Tuatha Dé Danann from the other world. When the devoted, equally great sires and champions and the hard battle victorious wild beasts that fought for Cuchulain had fallen, it greatly strengthened the courage of Ferdiad, so that he gave 2 blows for every blow of Cuchulain's. When Laeg, son of Riangabar, saw his lord being overcome by the crushing blows of the champion who oppressed him, Laeg began to stir up and rebuke Cuchulain in such a way that a swelling and an inflammation filled Cuchulain from top to ground, as the wind fills a spread open banner, so that he made a dreadful, wonderful bow of himself like a sky bow in a shower of rain, and he made for Ferdiad with the violence of a dragon or the strength of a bloodhound. And Cuchulain called for the Gáe Bulg from Laeg, son of Riangabar. This was its nature. With the stream it was made ready, and from between the fork of the foot it was cast. The wound of a single spear it gave when entering the body, and 30 barbs had it when it opened, and it could not be drawn out of a man's flesh till the flesh had been cut about it. Thereupon Laeg came forward to the brink of the river, and to the place where the fresh water was dammed, and the Gáe Bulg was sharpened and set in position. He filled the pool and stopped the stream and checked the tide of the ford. Ferdiad's charioteer watched the work, for Ferdiad had said to him early that morning, "Now, Gela, do thou hold back Laeg from me today, and I will hold back Cuchulain from thee." "This is a pity," quoth the henchman. "No match for him am I, for a man to combat 100 is he, and that am I not. Still, however slight his help, it shall not come to his lord past me." He was then watching his brother thus making the dam till he filled the pools and went to set the Gáe Bulg downwards. It was then that Id went up and released the stream and opened the dam and undid the fixing of the Gáe Bulg. So the charioteer is trying to help, even though he thinks that Laeg he's no match for Laeg, but he's still doing his best to undo what Laeg has done. Cuchulain became deep purple and red all over when he saw the setting undone on the Gáe Bulg. He sprang from the top of the ground so that he alighted light and quick on the rim of Ferdiad's shield. Ferdiad gave a strong shake to the shield, so that he hurled Cuchulain the measure of 9 paces out to the westward over the ford. Then Cuchulain called and shouted to Laeg to set about preparing the Gáe Bulg for him. Laeg hastened to the pool and began the work. Id ran and opened the dam and released it before the stream. Laeg sprang at his brother and they grappled on the spot. So I'm not sure if they're actual brothers or they're just like both charioteers and calling themselves brothers. Laeg threw Id and handled him sorely, for he was loath to use weapons upon him. Ferdiad pursued Cuchulain westward over the ford. Cuchulain sprang on the rim of the shield. Ferdiad shook the shield so that he sent Cuchulain the space of 9 paces eastwards over the ford. Cuchulain called and shouted to Laeg. Laeg attempted to come, but Ferdiad's charioteer let him not, so that Laeg turned on him and left him on the sedgy bottom of the ford. He gave him many a heavy blow with clenched fist on the face and countenance, so that he broke his mouth and his nose, and put out his eyes and his sight. And forthwith Laeg left him, and filled the pool, and checked the stream, and stilled the noise of the river's voice, and set in position the Gáe Bulg. After some time, Ferdiad's charioteer arose from his death cloud, and set his hand on his face and countenance. And he looked away towards the ford of combat, and saw Laeg fixing the Gáe Bulg. Now I thought his sight had been taken away from him, but anyway, he figured it out. He ran again to the pool, and made a breach in the dike quickly and speedily, so that the river burst out in its booming, bounding, bellying, bank-breaking billows, making its own wild course. Cuchulain became purple and red all over when he saw the setting of the Gáe Bulg had been disturbed. And for the third time he sprang from the top of the ground and alighted on the edge of Ferdiad's shield, so as to strike him over the shield from above. Ferdiad gave a blow with his left knee against the leather of the bare shield, so that Cuchulain was thrown into the waves of the ford. Thereupon Ferdiad gave 3 severe woundings to Cuchulain. Cuchulain cried and shouted loudly to Laeg to make ready the Gáe Bulg for him. Laeg attempted to get near it, but Ferdiad's charioteer prevented him. Then Laeg grew very wroth with his brother, and he made a spring at him, and he closed his long, full valiant hands over him, so that he quickly threw him to the ground and straightway bound him. And then he went from him quickly and courageously, so that he filled the pool and stayed the stream and set the Gáe Bulg. And he cried out to Cuchulain that it was served, for it was not to be discharged without a quick word of warning before it. Hence it was that Laeg cried out, beware the Gáe Bulg, battle-winning Culan's hound. Et reliqua. I don't know what et reliqua means. Definitely let me know if you know what et reliqua means in the comments below. Then it was that Cuchulain let fly the white Gáe Bulg from the fork of his irresistible right foot. Ferdiad prepared for the feat according to the testimony thereof. He lowered his shield so that the spear went over its edge into the watery water-cold river. And he looked at Cuchulain, and he saw all his various venomous feats made ready, and he knew not to which of them he should first give answer, whether to the fist's breast spear, or to the wild shield's broad spear, or to the short spear from the middle of the palm, or to the white Gáe Bulg over the fair watery river. Ferdiad heard the Gáe Bulg called for. He thrust his shield down to protect the lower part of his body. Cuchulain gripped the short spear, cast it off the palm of his hand, over the rim of the shield, and over the edge of the corselet and hornskin, so that its farther half was visible after piercing his heart in his bosom. Ferdiad gave a thrust of his shield upwards to protect the upper part of his body, though it was help that came too late. The Gilla saw the Gáe Bulg down the stream, and Cuchulain caught it in the fork of his foot, and threw the Gáe Bulg as far as he could cast underneath at Ferdiad, so that it passed through the strong, thick iron apron of wrought iron, and broke in 3 parts the huge goodly stone the size of a millstone. So I guess we know what the flag is. It's a flag stone. Should have got that really, shouldn't I? That was Ferdiad's armour when he was armouring up with his battle weed in the previous part. So it went through the iron, it went through the stone, so that it cut its way through the body's protection onto him, till every joint and every limb was filled with its barbs. That now sufficeth, sighed Ferdiad. I am fallen of that. But yet one thing more, mightily didst thou drive with thy right foot, and 'twas not fair of thee for me to fall by thy hand. And he yet spake and uttered these words: O coup of grand feats, unfairly I'm slain. Thy guilt clings to me, my blood falls on thee. No meed for the wretch who treads treason's gap. Now weak is my voice, gone is my bloom. My ribs' armour bursts, my heart is all gore. I battled not well, I'm smitten, O coup. Thereupon Cuchulain hastened towards Ferdiad, and clasped his 2 arms about him, and bore him with all his arms and his armour and his dress northwards over the ford, so that it should be with his face to the north of the ford the triumph took place, and not to the south of the ford with the men of Erin. Cuchulain laid Ferdiad there on the ground, and a cloud and a faint and a swoon came over Cuchulain, there by the head of Ferdiad. Laeg espied it, and the men of Éireann all rose for the attack upon him. Come, O Cuchulain, cried Laeg, arise now from thy trance, for the men of Éireann will come to attack us, and it is not single combat they will allow us, now that Ferdiad, son of Daman, son of Dare, is fallen by thee. What availeth in it me to rise, O Gilla, moaned Cuchulain, now that this one is fallen by my hand? In this wise the Gilla spake, and he uttered these words, and Cuchulain responded. Laeg, now arise, O Owen's hound, now most fits thee courage high. Ferdiad hast thou thrown of hosts, God's fate, how thy fight was hard. Cuchulain, what avails me courage now? I'm oppressed with rage and grief, for the deed that I have done on this body sordid sore. Laeg, it becomes thee not to weep, fitter for thee to exult. Yon red-speared one thee hath left, plaintful, wounded, steeped in gore. Cuchulain, even had he cleaved my leg, and one hand had severed two, woe that Ferdiad, who rode steeds, shall not ever be in life. Laeg, liefer far what's come to pass to the maidens of Red Branch, he to die, thou to remain, they grudge not that ye should part. Cuchulain, from the day I Cuailnge left, seeking high and splendid Maeve, carnage has she had with fame of her warriors whom I've slain. Laeg, thou hast had no sleep in peace in pursuit of thy great Táin, though thy troop was few and small, oft thou wouldst rise at early morn. Cuchulain began to lament and bemoan Ferdiad, and he spake the words, Alas, O Ferdiad, spake he, 'twas thine ill fortune thou didst not take counsel with any of those that knew my real deeds of valour in arms, before we met in clash of battle. Unhappy for thee that Laeg, son of Ringabar, did not make thee blush in regard to our comradeship. Unhappy for thee that the truly faithful warning of Fergus thou didst not take. Unhappy for thee that dear trophied triumphant battle victorious Conall, that's Conall Cernach, counselled thee not in regard to our comradeship. For those men would not have spoken in obedience to the messages or desires or orders or false words of promise of the fair-haired women of Connacht. For well do those men know that there will not be born a being that will perform deeds so tremendous and so great among the Connacht men as I, till the very day of doom and of everlasting life, whether of plying of spear and sword, or playing at draughts and chess, at driving of steeds and chariots. There shall not be found the hand of a hero that will wound warrior's flesh, like cloud-coloured Ferdiad. There shall not be heard from the gap the cry of red-mouthed Bive to the winged, shade-speckled flocks. There shall not be one that will contend for Cuchulain, that will obtain covenants equal to thine, till the very day of doom and of life henceforward, O red-cheeked son of Daman, said Cuchulain. Then it was that Cuchulain arose and stood over Ferdiad. Ah, Ferdiad, spake Cuchulain, greatly have the men of Éireann deceived and abandoned thee, to bring thee to contend and do battle with me. For no easy thing is it to contend and do battle with me on the raid for the kine of Cuailnge. Thus he spake, and he uttered these words. Oh my God, it's just more Cuchulain bigging himself up over and over and over again. Ah, Ferdiad, betrayed to death, our last meeting, oh how sad. Thou to die, I to remain, ever sad our long farewell. When we over yonder dwelt with our Scahach, steadfast true, this we thought till end of time, that our friendship ne'er would end. Dear to me thy noble blush, dear thy comely perfect form, dear thine eye, blue-grey and clear, dear thy wisdom and thy speech. Never strode to rending fight, never wrath and manhood held, nor slung shield across broad back, one like thee, Damon's red son. Never have I met till now, since I, ain for Aoife slew, one thy peer in deeds of arms, never have I found, Ferdiad. Finnevere, Maeve's daughter fair, beauteous lovely though she be, As a gad round sand or stones, she was shown to thee, Ferdia. Then Cuchulain turned to gaze on Ferdia. Ah, my master Laeg, cried Cuchulain, now strip Ferdia and take his armour and garments off him, that I may see the brooch for the sake of which he entered on the combat and fight with me. Laeg came and stripped Ferdia. He took his armour and garments off him, and he saw the brooch, and he began to lament and complain over Ferdia, and he spake these words. Alas, golden brooch, Ferdia of the hosts, O good smiter, strong, victorious thy hand. Thy hair blond and curled, a wealth fair and grand, thy soft leaf-shaped belt around thee till death. Our comradeship dear, thy noble eyes gleam, thy golden-rimmed shield, thy sword treasures worth. Thy white silver torque, thy noble arm binds, thy chessboard worth wealth, thy fair ruddy cheek. To fall by my hand, I own was not just, 'twas no noble fight, alas, golden brooch. Come, O Laeg, my master, cried Cuchulain, now cut open Ferdia and take the Gáe Bulg out, because I may not be without my weapons. Laeg came and cut open Ferdia and took the Gáe Bulg out of him, and Cuchulain saw his weapons bloody and red-stained by the side of Ferdia, and he uttered these words. O Ferdia, in gloom we meet, thee I see both red and pale, I myself with unwashed arms, thou liest in thy bed of gore. Were we yonder in the east, Scahach and our Uachach near, there would be not pallid lips twixt us two and arms of strife. Thus spake Scahach trenchantly, words of warning strong and stern. Go ye all to furious fight, German blue-eyed fierce will come. Unto Ferdia then I spake, and to Lugga generous, to the son of fair Baitan, German we would go to meet. I presume that's a reference to the Vikings. We came to the Battle Rock over Lake Lynn Format's shore, and 400 men we brought from the Isles of Ahisoch. As I stood and Ferdia brave at the gate of German's fort, I slew Rin the son of Nell, he slew Rua son of Fornell. Ferdia slew upon the slope Blah of Calba red sword son, Lugi fierce and swift then slew Mogarna of the Tirehirn sea. I slew, after going in, 4 times 50 grim wild men. Ferdia killed a furious horde, Dam Dremen and Dam Dillon. We laid waste shrewd German's fort, o'er the broad bespangled sea. German we brought home alive to our Scahach of broad shield. Then our famous nurse made fast our blood pact of amity, that our angers should not rise mongst the tribes of noble elk. Sad the morn, a day in March, which struck down weak Damon's son. Woe is me, the friend is fallen, whom I pledged in red blood's draught. Were it there I saw thy death, midst the great Greeks' warrior bands, I'd not live on after thee, but together we would die. Woe that us befell therefrom, us dear Scahach's fosterlings, me sore wounded, red with blood, thee no more to drive thy car. Woe that us befell therefrom, us dear Scahach's fosterlings, me sore wounded, stiff with gore, thee to die the death for I. Woe that us befell therefrom, us dear Scahach's fosterlings, thee in death, me strong alive, valour is an angry strife. Good, O Cuchulain, spoke Laeg. Let us leave this ford now, too long are we here. Aye, let us leave it, O my master Laeg, replied Cuchulain. But every combat and battle I have fought seems a game and a sport to me compared with the combat and battle of Ferdia. Thus he spake, and he uttered these words. All was play, all was sport, till Ferdia came to the fort. One task for both of us, equal our reward. Our kind, gentle nurse chose him over all. All was play, all was sport, till Ferdia came to the fort. One our life, one our fear, one our skill in arms. Shields gave Scahach twain to Ferdia and me. All was play, all was sport, till came Ferdia to the ford. Dear the shaft of gold I smote on the ford. Bull chief of the tribes, braver he than all. Only games and only sport, till came Ferdia on the ford. Lion furious, flaming fierce, swollen wave that wrecks like doom. Only games and only sport, till came Ferdia to the ford. Loved Ferdia seemed to me, for me would live, for I. Yesterday a mountain size, he is but a shade today. Three things countless on the Táin, which have fallen by my hand, hosts of cattle, men and steeds, I have slaughtered on all sides. Though the hosts were e'er so great, that came out of Cuchulain wild, more than third and less than half slew I in my direful sport. Never trod in battle's ring, Banba nursed not on her breast, never sprang from sea or land, king's son that had larger fame. So again, the dirge of Ferdia turns into the boasting of Cuchulain. So thus far, the death of Ferdia. And that one is done. Cuchulain and Ferdia and their battle. So we will leave that there for today, and we will return with episode 21, I believe, next time. So slán go fóill, make sure that you're subscribed to the channel and you hit the bell for notifications so you don't miss it, and you subscribe to the newsletter and you do all that good stuff, and make sure you check out the other playlists if you haven't already. Okay, slán go fóill, and I will see you in the next video.